Every week, millions of people move home, and as it's one of the most stressful things that you'll do in life, you need to get it right. I'm Rebecca Jane, and together with the region's best property experts, we'll be giving you some top tips and expert advice, shining a spotlight on a different area from across the Midlands, and getting to know a little more about our guests and what they look for in a home. Property is ever evolving and always a fascinating subject. We'll guide you on what you need to know and what you need to look out for here on Midlands at Home. Hello and welcome to Midlands at Home. On today's show, we'll be talking about refurbishments and renovations. And if you're not necessarily moving, but thinking along the lines of improving your home, then we're going to give you some advice and inspiration. My guest today is Joe Griffin from Edwards Moore. Joe, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, tell us a little bit about your background in the property industry.
Well, I started straight from school, essentially, at 16. Finished school and went straight into work with Edwards Moore, the estate agents, where I still work now, and I'm one of the directors. Started off by making the tea, photocopying, the usual bits and pieces, and worked my way up, really. Obviously, once I was driving out and about, visiting property, doing viewings, valuations, etc. And then the rest is history from there, really.
Absolutely. And of course, you're used to seeing a lot of people putting their houses on the market. You're used to showing a lot of potential buyers' properties as well. What do you think would be the top 3 things that the British public want from a property nowadays?
I think it's a bit of a cliche, but obviously location, 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 as the real estate agents say. I think in all seriousness, that is the number one.
It doesn't change really, does it?
Absolutely not,
You've got to get that right. It's an investment at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think location's all important. I think often, as we'll talk about today, condition of property's key as well, and how it's presented. And then, of course, character of properties as well. Some people like older properties, newer properties, etc. So, yeah, I think that's a big thing as well.
Do you find people are looking at properties nowadays and want to do the renovations? Back in the day, people used to want to invest in something that maybe was a bit tired, that needed lots of work being done to it. Or with today's society, with jobs, with work with children, that people actually don't want those projects. Or was there a mix?
I think there's a bit of a mix, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of people out there that want something that's done. So they've got a brand new kitchen, a brand new bathroom, and can move straight in. Particularly people with small children, young families, etc. Absolutely, yeah. But then there's people who possibly on their own, or couples, where they can move in and maybe spend a bit of time doing work to something and adding value, of course. Yeah,
and kitchens, I think, is key, isn't it? It's what it was in an article again the other week saying how it doesn't matter whether you're a couple, whether you are a family, whether you're older generation, that you want a really fabulous kitchen where you can entertain your children and your grandchildren. You want that space.
Yeah, I think kitchens are essential at the moment, particularly the size of them more than anything, because of course if you've got the views over the garden or somewhere where you can cook and entertain. Kids are in there and you've got a view over the garden, big doors onto the back garden and windows, nice light and airy. That's what people look for these days, definitely. Or if they can't do that, of course, they can extend and improve that way.
Yeah, I think that's why you see so many floor plans now. If you go onto Zoopla or Rightmove or the property portals, you can click onto floor plans, you can look. So I know that, we're moving at the moment, and the first thing I do is, right, let's have a look at the kitchen. Can I knock it through potentially?
Yeah, can I do something?
Yeah, that's it. Can I make it that nice big space?
Yeah.
We've got some befores and afters, actually, of this property that you have here.
Yeah.
So the original state of this property, was it Dickinson?
Dickinson Drive, which is in Walsall, which was a property we had on the open market for someone. It was tenanted, so it needed a little bit of renovation, not huge amounts, but certainly a new kitchen and bathroom were required. And we sold it to an investor looking to rent it out or develop it to sell on, and we've now got it back on the market, if you like, after he's obviously done the work.
It just looks really nice and clean and functional.
Yeah,
and I think that it's important. Whether I was speaking to another agent the other week, and she was saying that if landlords invest in kitchens and bathrooms, actually you can then get a little bit more for your money as well.
Rent, of course, and if you want to resell, of course. That one was one where a new kitchen and bathroom was done and some windows were changed, etc., gardens tidied up and things like that, so it just gives it a little, much nicer appeal.
Yeah, and you haven't got to spend a lot, have you really? You can put in just a basic, clean lines, neutral colours, it's not going to offend anybody.
Particularly for your landlord, if it's just for rental purposes, you can get a reasonably cheap kitchen, £1,500 maybe, maybe, or less even in some cases, and fit a kitchen and bathroom, and then, as you say, get more rent for it, really.
And if you are, what advice, you know, if you're living in a home, whether it be that you're going to sell or whether you just want to make some improvements, if you're investing in, they always say first and foremost, you know, your kitchen, then your bathrooms. Do you think you get your money back? Do you get your money's worth?
I think you can. I think the general rule of thumb I've always used is if someone is staying in a property for 5 years plus, we tend to say, you know, you can spend what you like on a kitchen and bathroom. If it's under that period of time and you're thinking of selling in maybe 18 months, 2 years, it's possibly worth going a little bit cheaper on those mod cons.
Over, just
that's it. But it certainly freshens it up, and brightens it up.
That's it, okay. Now, your biggest transformation, you've seen lots of properties coming onto the market. What would be the biggest transformation that you've seen?
One of the biggest ones we've seen, which was a house we're going to talk about, I think, which is West Bromwich Road, which was a property that was in need of complete modernisation. When you walked into the front room, you could see straight up through the first floor and to the ceiling.
Blimey.
Right into the roof, straight outside. So it had major leaks and problems, no central heating, you know, original owner from the 1940s. Old terraced house, and that was bought by someone, totally renovated, roof, kitchen, bathroom, central heating. So I think you can have something like that, full renovation, or it might be something that's, you know, a kitchen and a bathroom, as we talked about earlier.
How long did that take to turn around then?
That guy was able to do it in a couple of months, but again, it depends on who you are, who you know, if you're used to doing it, or of course if it's your first one or you've done 20 of them.
And we've got the picture to show you actually before and after of the driveway. Now, explain about the exterior of the property and the walls.
So the exterior was completely covered in creepers all up the front of it, etc. So it was completely covered in green moss. And
covered all the window, didn't it?
Yeah, it covered all the window. In fact, in some of the original windows, it had come inside, so you could see it from the inside of the property. So yeah, it was a total wreck basically, and they were obviously able to take all that back, and of course that then sorts out repointing and things like that. So the whole frontage was completely renovated.
It looks like a different house, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does totally.
And then of course you've got a nice new window and new door, and so I suppose in terms of what was done, taking off, going up the wall and then changing the window and the door, not a huge amount in terms of, I suppose, money spent, but what a transformation.
Great curb appeal, of course, and people pulling up to it now would think, you know, less work's required, etc., and it just looked a lot smarter and cleaner. Yeah,
I think curb appeal, would you say that's quite important?
I think so, when people pull up to a property, they want to see that it's, doesn't need too much work. I think if you can see that the frontage is in need of a lot of work, or the driveway or the garage door's a bit old and dusty, they're going to think the inside's going to need a lot of work, and if you can make the front look good, it will make them think, I want to go inside and have a look at that house.
Yeah, we've got another property actually to show you, and this one here is Walsingham?
Walsingham Street,
And again, windows and doors, what a transformation.
Yeah, massive, and again, that gets a lot more people through the door. If they can see from the curb that it's, it looks a nice house, they will go in and have a look round. So it definitely helps.
Huge, and then, some bit of colour, a few pots, hanging baskets.
Yeah, anything like that you can do. Again, softening the frontage, so by maybe having grass or some shrubs, etc. Yeah, that's a lot better than just a sort of tarmac driveway, if you like.
Yeah. Now, renovations is what we're obviously talking about. A lot of people now going up, so going up into the loft or going down into the basement.
Yeah. I think it's a major thing. I think at the moment, as we talked earlier, location's so important that if people are happy where they are and they can extend or develop their own property, they'll often stay at the moment, particularly if it's got room to do those things.
Yeah, it's having that room, and I think if you can extend with your square footage, is that where you're then going to perhaps see money back?
Add more value, yeah. Square footage is what's add value rather than doing just a kitchen or a bathroom. So if people can extend in a basement or a loft space, it's definitely going to add value, and of course it's a lot cheaper sometimes than perhaps moving.
Yeah, and I think as well, we've been looking to move, and I got a builder skip. I filled it to the top with stuff from the loft. It's amazing, the stuff you don't actually really need.
Yeah, absolutely, you don't need it once you start going through it, Yeah,
that's it. So, get rid of all that stuff, make it a usable space, and some of the loft conversions are beautiful. You can see bathrooms and extra bedrooms. It's amazing, isn't it?
You can get some lovely space out of a loft conversion, and again with Velux windows, they can be nice and light, and again if you've got children, it can be a space where it's a bit more private perhaps, and a more usable space.
And I think the other thing that a lot of people are doing now, again, whether it be that you don't want to move, you want to improve your home, is by extending the inside of your property out. So decking being quite a popular thing now.
Well, it brings the outside in, doesn't it, as well?
Away, in fact, I went to a friend's house. My little girl had a birthday party the other week, and they had the decking, and they said, we had real problems with our decking, getting it the same level as the house.
Yeah.
Because the builders, brand new build, they said no because of the drainage.
Drainage, you've got to be very careful, where that is, and obviously you want to make it user-friendly, and especially for young children and family coming round, so you've got to get that right, definitely.
That's the idea, isn't it? That you step from your kitchen floor and then you just go straight into
your garden, which is great.
Really, really popular. Now, what about gardens? If you put a little bit of money into your garden, will you get that back, or is it just something that, again, is just going to perhaps sell your house?
No, I think gardens will add a little bit of value. Again, it depends on the size of a garden, so maybe if it's a small terraced house with a very small area, it's not necessarily going to add value, but again, if it looks neat and tidy, I think it will help, certainly make it more saleable. If it's a much larger house, maybe a detached property with a huge garden, spending some time and money on that would certainly add value.
Yeah, definitely. Lots to, I think, whether you're moving or whether you're just improving your home, it's just nice to put your own stamp on things,
definitely, I think people want to do that,
Now, after the break, we are going to be talking about a couple, husband and wife. They have dismantled their home and built it brick by brick in a different location. I think they moved from Wiltshire to Gloucestershire, all because they couldn't find their dream home. So it's amazing that lengths of people...
Yeah, that's a bit of an extreme,
It is, isn't it? But, I suppose it's worked for them. So we'll be talking about that after the break. Plus, we'll be looking at this week's Spotlight area, which is Knoll. So don't go anywhere. Maybe put the kettle on, and I'll see you in a few minutes. This week's Spotlight area is Knoll. Knoll is a village around 3 miles southeast of Solihull. It lies within the historic county boundaries of Warwickshire, and since 1974 it has been part of the metropolitan borough of Solihull within the West Midlands. Knoll lies a few miles from the modern Warwickshire border and has a population of around 11,000 residents. Knoll still retains considerable village charm. It has many shops which are mainly located on the high street, a library located in Chester House, and is maintained by Solihull Council dating back to the Tudor times. There are restaurants of all varieties, making Knoll a popular choice for dining out. Property in Knoll is mainly detached or semi-detached, with the occasional terrace street and some apartment blocks. Knoll is an affluent area, with house prices being considerably higher than the national average, due to the demand for housing in the fringes of the West Midlands conurbation and high-achieving schools. Various celebrities have resided in this popular village over the years, including Jasper Carrott, Karen Brady and John Wyndham. With close access to the M42 motorway, great schooling and the charm of village life, Knoll really is a great place to live. Certainly is a lovely place, Knoll. I think when a place has so much to offer, like Knoll, it's then going to command maybe a little bit of a premium because it's got it all. Again, it's got the village lifestyle. It is close to a motorway.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great place to live. As you say, close to the motorway links, etc., to get into Birmingham and down to London. And of course, not far from the Birmingham International, so you can get the train everywhere. And of course, the schools, which is a major thing at the moment. Good primary school there and local high schools as well.
And actually, it's something that we've certainly found, with the children, is that if you've got Ofsted schools and you've got a number one Ofsted, so it's outstanding, actually that really has an effect on the price of property. Oh,
definitely, yeah. Schooling's a real major factor, particularly in the West Midlands at the moment.
I think nowadays people are thinking of schooling, and used to be, I think back in the day, you just sent your child to the local school and off they went.
Yeah, it's not so easy. No, it's not so easy nowadays. No, you need to do your research on them, and everyone wants to be in the best schools, of course, which you can totally understand.
And what about property in the area?
Property in the area, there's a lot of semi-detached, detached houses mainly, but there are new developments going on, which are a lot of apartments and things like that, particularly on the outskirts of Knoll. Obviously, the best part about it is that it's got the village life feel with the local amenities as well, of course.
Yeah, that's it. So now we are talking about a couple. This is a husband and wife. They have dismantled their 18th century manor house from Wiltshire and moved it all the way to Gloucestershire because they couldn't find their dream home. What a length to go to. Yeah,
absolutely. Sounds crazy, really, to me. But if it was a nice house, and I suppose they can afford to do that, fantastic. But I would have thought it would have been a bit cheaper to move home completely, really. But yeah, an interesting idea.
It is an interesting idea, and I think it maybe boils down to location again. We were talking about the top three things that potential buyers want from a property. Location, I suppose, really that is the first and foremost thing. So if you've got your property, but you just want to move the location, then why not?
Yeah, why not do it? Yeah, if you can do it, yeah, absolutely.
And a huge achievement if you can do so.
Yeah, of course.
So, now, take a look at these pictures. This is a massive renovation, an absolutely beautiful manor house. We've got the before pictures, which we're going to show you now, and then the after pictures.
Yeah.
We're talking renovation on a really, really, really big scale. A lot of time involved, and it's a wow. It's got the wow factor before, certainly got the wow factor after. But when you're going to perhaps take on a really big refurb, would you then say you're going to need the project managers? And
I think if it's a huge refurb like the one we're talking about, yeah, certainly, and that could take anywhere between 12 and 18 months to do from start to finish. You know, maybe even longer, depending again on your you know, your history in doing a project like that. But yeah, I would certainly say you'd need someone to help you with that one, yeah, to keep a time scale and a budget, because particularly if it's that size, you're going to be at work perhaps still doing your day-to-day job, and you need people there all the time helping you out.
Absolutely. And we've got the after shots, the interior.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Goodness,
yeah,
it is beautiful. It's like something from a movie. It's gorgeous.
Looks really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're obviously used to having a lot of people sort of come on board, looking for investors, looking for big renovations, looking for refurbishments. What would be any projects you've got on at the moment? There's quite a lot of pubs at the moment which are being converted, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got one recently in Walsall Town Centre, which was an old pub that was closed down some years back. Sorry?
What was the pub called?
Duke of Wellington.
Okay.
So it's an old pub, everyone in Walsall would know it, certainly. It was closed for some years. I used to play football for it, actually, when I was younger, but it closed some years ago, and it was derelict for quite some time, and local developers took that on and actually converted that into flats. But they're really nice, and he's kept a lot of the original features.
Oh, lovely.
And he's actually kept all those and rented them out, but it's a lovely place.
And I think because there's just not enough supply at the moment, isn't there? So it's a great idea when you've got pubs are, sadly, you know, some of them are closing, and it's something to do with those beautiful buildings. Yeah,
and some of the older ones, yeah, as you say, are really nice buildings, so they can be converted very easily, and they make a lot of rooms, of course, for flats. And again, that's something developers want, I think, particularly in larger buildings. If they can make it into flats, again, there's more income there for them.
Yeah, I think if you're maybe thinking, though, of going along the lines of doing big renovations, it can be quite daunting. What advice would you give to somebody starting out as an investor doing a renovation?
I think if it's your first one and you were looking to make money on it, you need to take advice off local estate agents in your area and see what the ceiling prices are for that road or block of flats if it's a flat. And then obviously you need to make sure you're buying it at the right price and you've got the correct budget. If it's something to be renting out, you can maybe spend a little less on kitchens and bathrooms. If it's something you're looking at selling on, I would advise, you know, spending a little bit more time and money on those things. Yeah,
and do you still see people come along doing the renovations, turning them around quite quickly?
Yeah, you do. I don't think you see it as quite as much as we did five to 6 years ago. There's more people retaining property now and renting it out, but there are people still turning them around, and you know, it's quite successful if you know what you're doing, but you've got to be buying at the right price to then.
Yeah. What's the shortest time frame in a renovation that you've come across?
We had one on Sutton Road in Walsall not too long ago, which we've now just recently sold again, which the guys turned around in about 6 weeks, which needed quite a lot doing to it. But again, there's people that you'll see in other areas that will do them in 2 to 3, depending on what needs doing, really.
Yeah, I suppose. Have you ever done a renovation yourself? Is it something that you fancy? Or?
No, it's more retaining property for myself. If I ever buy one, it would be to rent out, really. I think doing them up at the moment to sell on, you've really got to be very shrewd at it and make sure you get at the right price, as we said.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, so with renovations, it can be that you're just living in your home, you think, do you know what, I just want to spruce up my home and change, you know, your bathroom or your kitchen, whether you are going to be investing, whether you're going to be renting out. I think, you know, renovations is something that I think people are always quite intrigued.
Yeah, I think we're all more into that these days, aren't we? And I think it's so much more accessible to do the things that you know, you can go to your local shops now and get the right things and do it for a fairly cheap budget. So sprucing your house up nowadays is a lot more affordable, I think.
I was going to say, it is a lot more affordable.
Definitely.
I think when you thought of doing your bathroom or your kitchen, you know, I remember Mum saying it was years until I changed my kitchen. You know, you've had 2 or 3. I think back in the day it was a lot more expensive.
Oh no, it's so much more accessible now, and you can do it relatively cheaply. Or you can still spend a lot of money if you want to, but of course you can do it more cheaply. And certainly if you're looking to sell, it's worth doing a couple of things to spruce a place up. Yeah,
it's amazing just by, you know, just doing you know, flooring or just changing your tiles, small things, but they can make
a huge difference. Yeah, and particularly on the price you'll achieve, of course.
Yeah. Now you hear about the successes, but obviously sometimes renovations can go wrong, especially when you've got people buying. You've mentioned that property where when you went in through the front door, you could literally look right
straight up to the sky.
You know, that's a risk.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. There are people that have bought properties off us, particularly through our auction department, whereby they haven't even looked at properties. There's still people doing that, believe it or not.
Wow.
So they're coming along to the auction, they buy a property, they come straight over to us after and say, what's it like? And you know, they've not been to see it. We had one recently, well, I say recently, about 6 months ago, where someone had travelled up from London, bought a property, perhaps thinking it was a little bit cheaper in the Midlands, found out it needed an awful lot of work, managed to get the money together and finance it, but they've ended up sort of leaving it now, and it's sort of sitting there empty and you know, dwindling in condition.
Oh gosh, so what's your best advice then, so you're not perhaps in that position?
Oh, certainly you've got to be looking at things before you buy things. Certainly if it's via auction, looking at a legal pack. If it's on the open market, you know, asking the estate agent as many questions and maybe getting a feel for an area, of course. I don't think a lot of neighbours would mind if you knocked a door to say, what's it like here? What do you know about the history of the house next door that's for sale? Etc, etc.
Yeah, it's doing your research, isn't it? Really, sort of like you said, understanding an area so you know that you're buying in the right location.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You can still make money if it's not perhaps the right location, but actually you can get a house at the right price.
Yeah, there's still money to be made. Again, it's just buying at the right sort of price, really. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, you know, with renovations, it is something to be careful of. So, what's one of your biggest successes that you've seen with a renovation?
Successes would be one we had on possibly Stonnell Road, which was a couple of years back now, which we sold via our auction department again, which was a super house, beautiful views over a golf course at the rear and out onto the fields at the back. And that was a house that hadn't been touched for 40, 50 years.
Wow.
And the guys there have totally renovated it, and you drive past now, it's absolutely beautiful, stunning inside as well.
It's one of those wow factor houses.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did he have to do everything inside?
Absolutely everything, yeah, right the way from central heating, windows, plastering. A lot of old features were retained there as well, have been in it since. It's lovely.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, you know, so we can really shop around, can't we? We can, you know, go into different kitchen places. A lot of internet shopping, of course, as well. So I think nowadays we can do all of that.
Absolutely, as you say, it's a lot more accessible, isn't it? So you can do everything a lot cheaper than probably a few years back.
Yeah. So I think if you're in your home at the moment and you're going to do one home improvement, what would you say would be the one thing that potential buyers
I think if it's for a potential buyer, I think it's that curb appeal and making sure your house is decluttered and as clean as possible. You know, for viewings, all our houses are lived in, and if you've got families in there, they're going to be cluttered. If you can declutter and smarten up your house, even if you can't spend any money, you'll be fine.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
All right,
and
no problem.
look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
You take care, and we'll see you next week for more on Midlands at Home.